The retreat, which is the 10th in the series, was put together by the regional courts to introduce the newly appointed judges to the judicial operations of the ECOWAS Court of Justice.
Since our assumption of duty, limited as it is, points to the need for us to rededicate ourselves to the promotion of professionalism in the discharge of our duties, as it is only by building synergy that we can collectively contribute to the effectiveness of the court. For us, the judges, we are irrevocably committed to charting a new path that will place the court on a higher pedestal in order to bequeath a legacy of performance and effectiveness that enriches its jurisprudence.
The registrar of the ECOWAS Court, Tony Anenemedo, says delay in court processes due to limited manpower and some of the challenges confronting the court.
Another issue that is impeding the court from effectively discharging judicial functions is the delay in the translation of court processes. This is because court processes are required to be translated into the working languages of the court. However, the translators and revisors in the service of the court are overwhelmed and cannot cope with the volume of the court processes requiring translation. This results in inordinate delay in the translation of court processes, which in turn causes delay in hearing of cases.
Some of the new judges speak on the need to improve on the jurisprudence of the ECOWAS Court of Justice.
Of this court is very relevant in terms of law. Therefore, they cannot initiate working without knowing the jurisprudence properly.
Coming in, I can only be part of that enunciation of the jurisprudence that will give justice to the community of the ECOWAS state.
The 4-day retreat is expected to give a clear understanding of the jurisprudence of ECOWAS Court of Justice for quick dispensation of justice in the sub-region. Haz Akodi, AIT News, Abuja.
This includes the design of the new digital case management system, which, when deployed in a few months, will equip us with the capacity for the electronic filing by parties. With the increasing application of information technology to a variety of issues, the deployment of the digital case management system will invariably promote greater efficiency in the delivery of justice and align our system with international best practices. In the same vein, we had the opportunity of reviewing the new website and making inputs to ensure that it would enhance the visibility of the court and constitute a veritable complementary platform for stakeholders to engage with the court using the inherent applications. Moreover, there were presentations on the 2019 draft budget, adjournments, stakeholders, and the image of the court, as well as the rules of procedure of the court. The retreat was held against the backdrop of the reduction in the number of judges from 7 to 5 and the delay in the translation of court processes, both of which impede the effectiveness of the court. This is particularly poignant with the increased number of cases on the court's docket, currently at 107 pending cases, a number that is expected to increase looking at the current trends. My colleague judges and staff, this judicial retreat, which is on the jurisprudence of the court, 2003 to 2018, provides an opportunity for reflection on a variety of issues that impact on the court and its effectiveness. Records at the court show that between April 2004 and October 2018, the court delivered a total of 318 decisions, comprising of 190 judgments, 105 rulings, 18 written judgments, and 5 advisory opinions. Undoubtedly, the court has interpreted and applied numerous provisions of its rules of procedure and the protocol on the court as amended. Through its decisions, the court has developed a rich jurisprudence of its practice and procedure and its human rights mandate. Retreats of the court have become institutionalized, as an annual event in order to provide an opportunity to discuss important issues relating to the judicial functions of the court or issues that affect the administration of justice in the court. This 10th edition has been tailored for a specific reality. Consequently, the theme has been informed by the need to introduce these new members of the court and their executive assistants to its enviable jurisprudence as developed by the former members of the court between 2003 and 2018, and which has made the ECOWAS court an exemplar among regional courts. In structuring the retreat, efforts have been made to ensure that all issues germane to the improved appreciation of the jurisprudence of the court have been accommodated. Distinguished colleagues and staff of the court, one of the outcomes of the judges' retreat was the commitment by the judges to redress the systemic issues that have militated against the efficiency of the court and its capacity to meet the expectations of the stakeholders. Our commitment to the faithful discharge of our responsibility is unparalleled, as demonstrated by the zeal with which we anticipate the 30th October date on which the court resumes hearing. I therefore hope that staff will demonstrate the same commitment as they continuously strive to improve on the quality of service rendered to the honorable judges, cognizant that it is only through such synergy that the court can be effective in dispensing justice to our fellow community citizens, for whom the court is the ultimate recourse, particularly for human rights cases, which has become its defining mandate. In conclusion, our experience since our assumption of duty, limited as it is, points to the need for us to rededicate ourselves to the promotion of professionalism in the discharge of our duties, as it is only by building synergy that we can collectively contribute to the effectiveness of the court. For us, the judges, we are irrevocably committed to charting a new path that will place the court on a higher pedestal in order to bequeath a legacy of performance and effectiveness that enriches its jurisprudence. As we reflect over the next 4 days on the various issues for discussion at this 10th judicial retreat, in this serene environment, let us use it to rededicate ourselves to the cause of the court. I therefore challenge the staff to make the same commitment, which will make the journey more pleasurable, driven by the desire to promote excellence, accountability, and professionalism.
The community, its peculiarities as a judicial institution are not in doubt. Therefore, the independence of the court remains a critical element of its judicial nature, and we must continue to aspire to international best practices. It is of utmost importance that the honorable judges of the court are given a conducive environment to discharge their functions, including security of tenure, reasonable length of tenure, sufficient number, conducive office, and necessary support staff. Unfortunately, the recent reduction of the number of judges of the court from 7 to 5 poses a serious threat to the court. A time that calls for the establishment of an appellate chamber within the court is not a time to reduce the members of the court, especially with the increased number of cases on the court docket. For example, as at date, we have 107 cases that are pending before the court, and that number is expected to increase continuously. It is not in doubt that we hold the honorable members of the court in high esteem, as we recognize their pivotal role in the court system. Indeed, without them, there is no court. Another issue that is impeding the court from effectively discharging judicial functions is the delay in the translation of court processes. This is because court processes are required to be translated into the working languages of the court. However, the translators and revisors in the service of the court are overwhelmed and cannot cope with the volume of the court processes requiring translation. This results in inordinate delay in the translation of court processes, which in turn causes delay in hearing of cases. We therefore have a duty to find solutions to the above problem as soon as possible. It is advisable to recruit additional translators and revisors, especially in Portuguese language, as soon as possible. We live in a global village and should take into account international best practices if we are to remain relevant in the years ahead. This is the only way we can ensure the future growth and advancement of the court as an independent and virile court. It cannot be overemphasized that the staff of the court have a duty to provide efficient services to the honorable judges for the discharge of their judicial functions. The staff of the court will therefore continuously strive to improve on the quality of services rendered to the honorable judges. As the various departments and divisions of the court are interdependent, the need for collaboration cannot also be overemphasized. The theme of the 10th Judicial Retreat is Jurisprudence of ECOWAS Court of Justice 2003 to 2018. The judicial records of the court show that between April 2004 and October 2018, the Community Court of Justice delivered a total of 318 decisions, comprising of 190 judgments, 105 rulings, 18 revision judgments, and 5 advisory opinions. It is not in doubt that the court has interpreted and applied numerous provisions in its rules of procedure and the protocol on the court as amended. The court has also developed a rich jurisprudence on its practice and procedure and its human rights mandate. The need to introduce the new members of the court to the jurisprudence of the ECOWAS Court of Justice informed the theme of the 10th Judicial Retreat. There are 6 sub-themes of the Judicial Retreat which were developed with the intention of covering the entire spectrum or scope of the jurisprudence of the court from 2004 to 2018. The sub-themes are as follows. 1. Access to courts. 2. Jurisdiction of the courts. 3. Human rights mandate of the courts. 4. The community legal order. 5. Practice and procedure. 6. Enforcement of judgments of the courts and external relations. The main objective of the 10th Judicial Retreat is to appraise and introduce the new members of the court, as well as the executive assistants to the jurisprudence of the ECOWAS Court of Justice as developed by the former members of the court between 2003 and 2018. Specifically, the various presenters have been directed to focus on the jurisprudence of the Community Court of Justice on the various sub-themes. Therefore, the presenters are to rely essentially in their presentations on the relevant decisions of the court between 2004 and 2018. It is my hope that the presentations will refer to a majority of the 318 decisions of the court. Expectations of the retreat. It is my hope that after 4 days of deliberations at this retreat, that we would have met the objective of the retreat. Therefore, the main expectations of this retreat are as follows. 1. A clear understanding of the jurisprudence of the Community Court of Justice between 2004 and 2018. 2. Exposure of the honorable judges of the court and the executive assistants to the existing jurisprudence of the court. And finally, a clear understanding of the judicial mandate of the court. My lords, ladies and gentlemen, the Judicial Retreat has now been institutionalized as an annual event in the calendar of the court. We look forward every year to this event as it enables the judges, the registry and legal staff of the court to assemble outside our seat of court to discuss important issues relating to the judicial functions of the court or issues that affect administration of justice in the court. The 10th Judicial Retreat is particularly significant because of the recent complete renewal of the membership of the court. We therefore have a duty to bring to the attention of our new honorable judges the existing jurisprudence of the Community Court of Justice. Henceforth, it will be the sole responsibility of the 5 new members of the court to further develop the jurisprudence of the court during their tenure. As we look forward to the years ahead, we are confident that your lordships will take the jurisprudence of the courts to greater heights. My lords, fellow staff, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all very fruitful deliberations and a pleasant stay in Goshen City.
The jurisprudence of the court is in line with the mandate of the court to provide redress for human rights cases. And I think that the judges before now have done justice to the mandate in the jurisprudence that they have enunciated following from that. And coming in, I can only be part of that enunciation of the jurisprudence that will give justice to the community of the ECOWAS state.
You are having many cases now, and the judges of the court have been reduced from 7 to 5. How do you intend to do about your work?
We can only do what is possible, humanly speaking, and so we'll do our best to speedily reduce the numbers of cases by working harder and sitting more often and clearing the backlog that we can, humanly speaking.
Talking about the number of judges being reduced, like the judicial code, is going to affect the backlog of pending cases. Are you in any way calling for addition of judges?
Absolutely. The 7 judges, even on full time, are not adequate to cover the cases because the ECOWAS court is now more visible. Within the period of our swearing in August and now, the registrar has informed us that there are additional 20 cases, and so it will continue to increase. And if we maintain that the 7 judges are not enough, then you can then imagine that the further reduction is going to impact on the speed of delivery of the judges, because we cannot do what is humanly impossible. And that's why I keep saying, what is humanly impossible, we will not attempt to do it. But we will work hard to reduce it. And so, yes, we are calling for more judges to be appointed, because justice delayed is justice denied. The essence of justice here is speedy dispensation of justice to communities, citizens who have come before the ECOWAS court.
Tell me about the enforcement of the decisions of the court. A number of cases, according to the records of the registrar, a number of cases, enforcement has been there's no record of enforcement. What are the plans of the court in addressing the issues of non-enforcement?
First, our mandate is to deliver judgment. Now, the ECOWAS court is a commitment by member states, and what needs to be done is to work on the commitment of member states in creating this court and in going further to implement decisions that are emanating from the courts. So I think that the work that needs to be done is to get the member states to remember that they are committed and that they owe the community that they represent the duty to implement decisions that have been taken to bring succor to their citizens whose rights have been violated.
Estão a falar da jurisprudência do tribunal desde 2014 à data de hoje. Pronto, não fazia parte do grupo cessante, mas quais são os seus planos, as suas contribuições que acha que poderá fazer para melhorar a jurisprudência?
Portanto, o objetivo deste retiro é conhecermos a jurisprudência do Tribunal de 2004 a 2018. Mas conhecer a jurisprudência tem a sua relevância no sentido de entendermos as posições assumidas anteriormente pelo Tribunal, mas no quadro do coletivo dos juízes será analisada e decidida a importância, portanto, a dar-se às decisões que constituem a jurisprudência do Tribunal.
Decisions that constitute the jurisprudence of the court. The jurisprudence of this court
tem sido relevante
is very relevant
em termos de direito.
in terms of law.
Por isso, nós não
Therefore,
podemos começar
they
a
cannot
trabalhar sem
initiate
conhecer.
working without knowing the jurisprudence
Mas
properly.
onde
However,
eu provenho de uma família
judge
jurídica
comes from
onde não
a family
não
where they're
estamos
studying law,
vinculados às jurisprudências
and they are not binded
anteriores.
to the
Portanto,
previous jurisprudence.
sempre poderemos também ter uma
However, they
atitude
can also
crítica
have a critical opinion,
e onde houver
and if
necessidade
there's
de
the
mudar
need
de
to
posição,
change her
portanto,
points of view,
estaremos
obviously
portanto, preparados para essa análise.
she'll be ready for this.
In the last 4 days to 2018, it has been an excellent and learning process for members of this new College of Judges, and actually for the old folks who are even in the system who have imbibed so much. Undoubtedly, it's very refreshing, and we have had enough stuff on the court and its jurisprudence. In effect, various key points on access to the court, overview of the court's jurisdiction, human rights mandates of the court, non-exhaustion of the court's remedies, community legal order, state responsibility and sources of law of the ECOWAS court, expedited procedures and other reliefs, provisional measures and consolidation and discontinuance of cases in the courts, default judgments and revision and interpretation of judgments by the courts, written and oral procedures, enforcement of judgments and improving the image of the court. These are basically the issues that were discussed and imbibed by all the participants, particularly the new College of Judges. And the objectives, in my view, have been achieved very well, looking at the manner in which the judges and all participants understood and made contributions and asked questions, and the mode by which the questions were answered and contributions were made. On the whole, I think the presenters and the organizers deserve a very big commendation, not forgetting the staff, both in and out of the office, particularly the translators and interpreters and office staff, backroom staff. We also thank the media for their presence here on the opening day and for coming today. Generally, all participants, I think, deserve some commendation. And the way forward is for us to come together and, with the recommendations that we have put together, try to implement them. Those that deserve to be put before the Commission for further recommendation and all that, I think it's our duty to come together to make them implementable, particularly the outreach programs that have been recommended by us and put together by us to make sure that member states take advantage of the existence of the court and benefit from its existence for the fact that they are members of, citizens of the member states. So, in all, I thank everybody who came to this program for all this toil, and that God and Allah together will bless you. Thank you very much.
Non, Monsieur Tony, il n'y a plus d'intervention. C'est lui qui devait prendre. Il ne doit pas parler après le président. Il est le président de la Cour. Ce n'est pas normal que de la CEDEAO, le certif du labeur trouvé dans un État voisin, où pendant 7 jours, vous vous êtes consacré avec acharnement et de façon assidue à des réflexions intenses sur les activités de la Cour.
successful. As you recall, new members of the court were sworn in on the 31st of July this year, and they assumed duty on the 27th of August. The essence of the retreat is to introduce them to the jurisprudence of the court over the years, particularly between 2004 and 2018. Over 300 decisions have been given by the court, and we have a very rich jurisprudence. Since the new members of the court are just coming into the system, it is necessary to introduce them into the jurisprudence of the court, particularly to let them know what their predecessors in office have decided on important legal issues. And it has been a very successful retreat. We are happy that we met the objectives of the retreat. Thank you.
So, the issue of the petition of the judgment of the courts. Issue of the petition of the judgment of the courts.
Okay, sorry.
Like issue of Sambo Dasuki and Zazaki. What is the court doing about it?
The issue of the implementation of the courts is the implementation of the judgments of the court is a problem that we've been confronting right from the inception of the courts. You will recall that the protocol on the court requires every member state to appoint a competent national authority for the implementation of the judgments of the courts. Out of the 15 member states, only 5 have so far done that. So the implementation of the judgment has remained a recurring problem. But we'll continue to sensitize member states on the need for them to appoint the competent national authorities and to implement the judgments of the court, because these are treaty obligations they have. We cannot be successful as a community if the judgments of the court are not respected or implemented by the member states. So it's an issue. We continue to sensitize them and to also let the civil society know that they have a role to play in ensuring that these judgments are implemented. There is a limit to what the court can do on its own, because the protocol on the court does not give us the power to supervise or monitor the implementation of the judgments of the court. Thank you. The 5 member states are Guinea, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Togo.
People in other countries not setting up their own?
Well, that is true. I think there are 10 more countries that haven't set up the process by which our judgments may be enforced. Particularly, this is generally through the fact that judgments have gone against them, and they themselves do not want to honor their responsibilities under the treaty. And if you may know, we have passed a resolution here, presenting it to the Commission itself to and make sure that they do that, because it's their treaty obligation which they need to undertake. So we make sure that they do that. And we are also seeking responsibility for individuals to be able to come before the court to enforce that kind of activity by the various states, such that if they get judgments against them, they are not able to do it. Individuals should be able to come to court and sue afresh. The court will enhance the compensation for the individuals as against the state, and then they may lose certain facilities they have on the commission.
Does this have any negative impact on the confidence reposed on that the court?
Yes, seriously. Then the court might as well not exist. If there's a court, you give a judgment and it's not enforced, the individual who comes to the court will lose confidence, obviously, in the court, because he comes, he spends money on lawyers and on the processes, he gets judgment which has vindicated his cause, but then he doesn't get it enforced. Then obviously the court he has no confidence in the court at all, which we think we should avoid.
Okay, the retreat now, the issues they have come out with, how effective do you think the member countries will abide by it?
Yes, actually we have, and we are making the recommendations to the Commission. The head of the Commission is empowered under law to make sure that all these recommendations are brought before them and passed into law. For instance, there's the legal aid aspect. Most of the people here are impoverished. They have rights and they have rights against their countries, but they don't have the means to do that. And therefore, if that is published, the Commission has to set aside funds for legal aid for such people to be able to vindicate their rights and all that against their state. So we think that having done this, the Commissioner will also do his work by enforcing, having the commissioners and the heads of state to enforce these things for effective harmonization of the community.
What are some other decisions reached at the end of the retreat?
Basically, it's about the jurisdiction, human rights jurisdiction. It is now only individuals whose rights have been breached, who have the right to come before the court. But you find out that there are certain organizations who are also sometimes given bad deals by the nations who do not have the right because they are not members, they have not been defined under the treaty. So we have also made recommendations that they should look at that and try to expand the jurisdiction of the court and access to the court so that many more people whose human rights have been breached by the various states will also have the right to the court to vindicate their rights. So this is basically one very important thing that has been decided upon at this meeting. Yes. Thank you.